couple of a cappella songs, and they sounded great. And then people started coming back saying, okay, maybe she can do something, maybe she can do something. And by the end of my sophomore year, I had joined up with a young man from my hometown, and he had started writing songs, and we ended up recording Morehead State University's choir. We took them to my hometown, which was in Xenia, Ohio, and we recorded a couple of songs that we had written.
Did you have much faculty support or administrative support? It sounds like you were taking on a whole lot yourself.
No, by no means did I take it all on myself. No, Jerry Gore was the advisor for the gospel ensemble. He coordinated everything. All I had to do was show up. Yeah, Jerry Gore, he was very instrumental in everything that we did in the Black Gospel Ensemble. We had opportunities to travel. In November, every year we went down to Atlanta, Georgia, where it was a Black Gospel College Fest. All the black universities on the East Coast met down in Atlanta, Georgia, and we sang all weekend. It was a very good experience. The bus trip, that was an experience. I think one year we got there, we met James Brown. I mean, that was an experience. The underground, what was it called? The underground in Atlanta, that was an experience. So the gospel ensemble allowed us to be exposed to a lot of different things. A lot of things in our culture, and just a lot of things in general.
What were race relations like on campus?
For me, it really wasn't a problem because being an athlete, when I came in, as I stated, I was a volleyball player, and all the freshman athletes had to stay at Waterfield. So you had a good relationship. I mean, for the athletes, you became a family. So if there was racial tension, I didn't experience any at the time.
Do you remember Adrian Dorn at all?
Yes, I do. I remember Adrian Dorn. He was the president when I came here. What I remember about Adrian Dorn was those big bow ties. It made me think of Thurston Howell III on Gilligan's Island. But that's why I saw Adrian Dorn. But not any contact that I can recall with Mr. Dorn. He was visible. He was quite visible in the community as far as the university on campus, but no direct contact for myself.
Is there anything you want to tell us that we haven't asked you, or any particular experience that sticks out in your memory?
Well, the one thing, I guess I'll piggyback, is where I met the love of my life. My husband, now of 27 years, Ollie Lindsay. We started dating as sophomores, and we now have been married for 27 years. We have 3 children from that marriage, and we're still best friends. That's it.
My name's Orville Lindsay, O-R-V-E-L-L, Lindsay, L-I-N-D-S-A-Y.
Excellent. And now, there,
Okay.
all your attention.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to come to Morehead State.
Like my wife, I'm an athlete. I came to Morehead State University because I was visited by the football coach and came to play football, basically. I wasn't a very good student in high school. I was an athlete, but I wasn't dumb, but I wasn't a very good student. And anyway, the coach came and talked to me and my mom around the table, and we decided to come up and take a look at the university, and I fell in love with the university and came up, didn't play one single down of football, never even dressed. I just came and they was having some money issues. So got here and enrolled in classes and decided to put my head to the books. That's how I got here, basically.
Where was your home?
Eminence, Kentucky, in Henry County. I went to Eminence Independent High School, very small school. My graduating class was 27, so very small school.
So Morehead wasn't a small town to you then?
Well, Morehead was still a small town, but larger than Eminence, of course. And the population in the school, I think Morehead was like 7,000 back in 1975. And so, yeah. But I love the campus, the lake, be able to walk the campus, and everybody was friendly. So I really, the whole experience was good for me.
What was your major?
My major was recreation administration. And when I came to Morehead, like I said, I came for football, and I did more partying than I did actually trying to study until I met my girlfriend at the time, and she says, "Buddy, you better get your head in the books, or you're not going to be anything." So I started studying about my junior year to get my grades up so I could graduate. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Tell us about the first time you saw her.
The first time I saw her, she was an athlete, and she had this body. Being honest with you, I just fell in love with her thighs. I fell in love with her physically first. I fell in love with her physically first, and then as I started taking her bananas and apples and putting them in the mailbox, and she didn't know who did it. It was a secret admirer until she found out who did it. And then we went to the movies, and the small town atmosphere that Morehead had was just great. We walked to the movies, and we was together all the time. So I don't know. I just fell in love with her from that experience. Yeah.
So, and is that when you decided to join the Black Gospel Ensemble?
Yes, that too. We went to Atlanta, and I don't know how to say this. There was this restaurant that we went to, and there was a dessert that she wanted, and I managed to get it for her. And there's a whole lot of, I don't know how to go into that story. But yes, I fell in love with my wife in Atlanta. I know I'm doing terrible here, y'all.
You can take your time to go into that story.
Okay. Yes, her mother was there, and her mother knew that I was interested in her before she knew. I mean, she was the choir director, and that's all she thought about. But I was only thinking about her. I can't sing very well, and I still sing today. I've been singing for 30 years. She's been my director for 30 years, and I love to sing. Don't have a very good voice, but I love to sing. And not just any song, but I sing gospel songs, and I love it. And so that's been pretty much our lives. Yeah.
You said that your girlfriend helped you get your head screwed on right. Was it just, you just decided to change for her, or?
Well, not just for her. She helped me to see. I mean, it was more of understanding that, you know, you can be a jock and then not graduate and not have a future. And she helped me to make a decision. I went into ROTC from there, and I basically did that to get some money in, because I used to work at the post office. There's a little post office downstairs, and I worked in there, and then ROTC paid me $100 a month. I think it was $100, and that was very important. Brought in a little more finance, and then she says, "Hey, look, you know, there's a future in there. Look at that along with your major." And I did that, and I ended up going into the service. Didn't think I'd do it, but I went into the service as a commissioned officer in the United States Army. And that worked out fine for us. So,
Was Colonel Kelly still the PMS when you were here?
Colonel Kelly.
Or Kelly?
Now,
Remember who was in ROTC?
I'll tell you who I really remember. Colonel Kelly may have been there, but I really remember captain, he was a captain at the time, Stanley. And he was so, I wanted to be like him because he never forgot anything. He was so structured. I think I idolized him. He was the kind of person that you would want to be like. And so he talked me into going to the basic program at Fort Knox. I went there and didn't enjoy it. Said I'd never go into the Army, but ended up doing it anyway. And he told me, he says, yes, you will. I said, no, I'm not. But I ended up going into the Army and enjoyed that life too.
How long did you stay in the Army?
12 years. They had a program. I would have loved to have stayed in and made it a career, but they had a Graham Rugland program. Not as deep as it is today, but they started cutting officers, and I was one of the first ones to get cut.
When did you all decide to get married?
I went to Korea in 1980. I was in Korea from 80 to 81. And I was living kind of wild. And one day I was just walking down the street, and they make beautiful furniture over there. And I found myself looking in the window and looking at some of the furniture and said, man, I'd like to have some of that. But then I thought to myself, what are you going to do? I mean, you're single. And so I started calling my wife and writing her more because I wasn't doing it while I was there. And we got married 2 weeks after I got back in the States. Yes.
So Morehead changed your life in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, it helped me. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't. And we look back, both me and my wife, we look back at Morehead and look at it as a stepping stone to helping us be where we are now. It was great for us. Great small school, small atmosphere. Everybody was very close when we was coming through. Everybody was close, and small town atmosphere, very good. I think a lot of people could get a good experience from that, I guess. Yeah.
Is there anything that we didn't ask you that you'd like to share with us?
Well, you didn't ask me about Adrian Dorn.
Tell us about it.
I, just like my wife, I had great respect for him. Whenever you saw him, he was the kind of person that you looked up to. Again, he had that big tie, and he had the presidential stature to the point where you respected him when you saw him. And of all the presidents, I have to be honest with you, he's the only one that comes to mind for me. I thought he was a very good man.
Yeah. Well, you all were here at a time when student rights and students were gaining more independence and more of a voice in what was happening on campus, more of a voice in your own lives. It was much less of the parental model. And Adrian Dorn's was probably one, I guess, the last of that type of president. So you were here in that kind of transitional time. So it's interesting that, you know, you both remember it with respect, but I think that's probably the difference. In the 70s, students were beginning to say, you know, we can think for ourselves. It's nice of you to think of us, but you don't have to think for us.
Right.
Did you all, were you involved in the Personal Development Institute? Was that something, a class that you took when you were here? PDI, I think it was called?
I don't think, no.
Jewel was telling us about PDI.
No, I don't recall PDI. No, not for me. No.
Anything else, anybody else in particular that stands out in your mind from that time?
Mike Mayhew. I know my wife mentioned him. Mike Mayhew was over the what's the name of the program? I can't think of the name of the program, but Mike was he was young, older than us, but very young, and I I would go to, he was like a counselor. You could go to his office and sit down and talk about anything. If there was one person that I'd like to see, it would be him. And I haven't seen him in a long time, but Mike Mayhew, don't know if you know him, but very good counselor, encourager for all the students, I think.
Are your daughters in college?
No, I have one of my daughters graduated. She's a music teacher at Wilmington, 2 schools at Wilmington. This is her 2nd year. My other daughter is it's her 4th year in the Air Force, and she's also in North Carolina at Pope Air Force Base.
Have you ever brought them to Morehead State?
Yes, when they were younger. Yeah. I think the last time we was here was like about 10 years ago. We didn't have our kids with us then, but I think when we came back from California, which would have been about 1984, 1985, I think. No, it wouldn't have been then. I'm sorry. Had to be about 87 that we brought them with us. They were very young.